Welcome to 50's News! Lots of fantabulous things happened in the 50s. The 50s sets records for the number of babies born each year, and the price of the American dream was actually attainable. Walt Disney's Cinderella and the Peanuts comics premiered in 1950. Color TV began in 1951. King George VI died. Betty White won an Emmy, and the first hydrogen bomb was detonated in 1952. The double helix was discovered, and someone finally reached the top of Mount Everest in 1953. The Supreme Court declared segregation unconstitutional in 1954. Steve Jobs and Bill Gates were both born in 1955. Kermit the Frog also made his debut that same year, along with the first McDonald's and Disneyland. Elvis first appears on TV in 1956. 30 seconds left. Sputnik 1 was launched in 1957. Many world-famous musicians like Michael Jackson were born. The hula hoop was launched and NASA was created in 1958. Malls and the Wizard of Oz were created in 1956. Alaska and Hawaii became states. And the Guggenheim, 1959. Welcome back to 1950's News. Well, we've received a very interesting report here at 50 News. Apparently, some women are getting fed up with their easy lives as housewives. But why trust us? Hear it from their own lips. Up now, an exclusive interview with the Housewife of the Year. We go to our field reporter, Ellie.
Thanks, Maddie. I am here live speaking with the current Housewife of the Year, Maddie Smith. Mrs. Smith, let us sit down. Now, Mrs. Smith, I understand that some women are fed up with the way that they're treated today.
You're darn right we are. I'm sick and tired of hearing that women belong just in the kitchen. During World War II, I worked in a factory building bombs. Whose genius idea was it that I, a certified bomb technician, can only be trusted with making dinner and raising little humans? You know what? I'll raise those kids, and I'll teach them to make bombs. That's right. My little bunch of bomb squad terrors is about to be unleashed on the world.
Well, so what do you think of some of the drawbacks are for women today?
I'll tell you a drawback. Those awful sexist ads that keep popping up that are all like, it's better to be pretty than good at your job, and give your super pregnant wife morning sickness meds so she can make you breakfast.
Tell me about it. Thanks to a magazine ad, I got about 20 meat thermometers. 20 meat thermometers. 0 people. Anyway, this was at my wedding last year because they were, and I quote, the perfect wedding gift.
I know. And another thing.
Well, thank you for the inside look. Back to you, Maddie. Cut.
Well, Miss Smith seemed very enthusiastic in her opinions. However, her facts are correct. According to several reputable sources, the advertising is horrendous, extremely sexist, and is pushing our society back 4.5 decades. Women in this country are shown as less than and made out to be there just for housework and their husband's every whim. On a more positive note, however, teens everywhere are gaining the power of financial freedom. During the Great Depression era, they were lucky to be able to work to keep food in their mouths. Now they have the opportunity to work for themselves and buy things they want, like cars and fancy outfits. And now, back to you, Ellie.
There are so many concerning things going on. Some aren't so sure it's happy days after all. What is more worrying now, however, is the news on the national scale. What started our fears of nuclear annihilation? Let's find out. after World War II, Russia was unhappy with us. Maybe it was the millions who died before we finally stepped in. But who can say? Thanks to our wonderful research team, I can now confirm without a doubt that the real reason Russia wants to bomb us is they do not like us sticking our noses into international affairs. Well, I guess it evens out. After all, we don't like them spreading. Or to be more accurate, we don't like their government. And to be fair, they also don't like our arms buildup either. It's not like we're the threat here, right? Right. And in other news, it's a blast from the past with World War II. That's right, folks, it's news on the Korean War. As many of you know, the Korean War was started when the Korean Peninsula was claimed by both Russia and the US. Due to the Cold War, they refused to meet about reuniting Korea. On June 25th, 1950, soldiers from the People's Republic of North Korea streamed across the border to attempt to reclaim South Korea. We supported anti-communist Syngman Rhee in South Korea, while Russia, a little more enthusiastically, supported Kim Il-sung. The fighting was brought to a standstill after many back and forth moments, and eventually 2 separate states were formed. The war brought about 5 million deaths of men, women, and children, civilians and soldiers both. Oh, that reminds me, who remembers the Japanese internment camps? 117,000 Japanese American lives affected. Almost that many sent to the camps. Conditions in camp were filthy and disgusting. Food and water shortages were common. Japanese Americans, and I mean those at least 1/16 Japanese, were herded up and thrown into barns like cattle. And then they were surrounded in barbed wire and armored guards 24/7. I mean, these conditions were so crazy that a man was shot for getting too close to the fence. Another couple was shot at. A few more died, mostly because people were so skittish around the Japanese. They were shot. And now, back to you, Maddie.
Thank you, Ellie. According to our sources, the well-loved idea that we need to contain communism has started to hurt innocent civilians. Now, for our interview. This is Elmer. How did you lose your job, Elmer?
Well, I lost my job after getting investigated by the feds. I was a professor at a law school. We were all put on trial for being un-American. They accused us of being no good, suspected commies.
And were you?
Of course I wasn't. But after that whole shebang, I lost everything. My job, my reputation.
After the jury found him not guilty due to the lack of evidence,
Which will issue.
Elmer was sent home to find that his whole town wouldn't associate with him.
I lost everything. My job, my family, my friends, my dog. Actually, no, my dog stuck around me. He was a good dog. I got a cat. Then, I was a no good, dirty commie. Didn't matter if I was indicted or not. They investigated me and that wasn't enough.
No business would hire a suspected communist. Elmer's sad story mirrors tens of thousands of others and what is beginning to become known as the Red Scare. These stories even stretch to some of our favorite Hollywood figures. These 10 people, known as the Hollywood 10,
Hey, can I eat this?
refused to cooperate in an investigation against them, instead citing their First Amendment right to free speech and calling our government out for its horrendous actions. This didn't work out so well for them, as they all went to jail for being in contempt of Congress. Now, all major studios are banned from men have started writing under pseudonyms, which are fake names. I won't say who, but an accused writer we all know and love wrote the award-winning film, The Brave One. Oh, Elmer.
Ah, the baby booming era, the age of wealth and prosperity. Between 1945 and 1960, the U.S. economy, the gross product, of course, more than doubled. It grew from 200 billion to more than 500 billion. Much of this increase came from government spending. The construction of interstate highways and schools, the distribution of veterans' benefits, and most of all, the increase in military spending on goods like airplanes and new technology. They all contributed to the economic prosperity we found ourselves in.
Rates of unemployment and inflation were low. Wages were high and middle-class people had more money to spend than ever. Because of this, along with the variety and availability of consumer goods, the economy had expanded greatly. 4 million babies were born every single year. In all, we had about 77 million baby boomers. Of course, this came at a price. White people fled to the suburbs, away from the blacks, and the happy days landscape we found ourselves in was at its own world. People were moving to the cities for work, but they were the wrong kind of people. Most people of European ancestry moved to the suburbs. The Titans movie was a movie at T.C. Williams High School in Alexandria, Virginia. A black head coach had been hired to coach an all-white football team. The white and blacks clashed and were at odds at first. But at the end, white and black created a remarkable friendship, and segregation lose at the end. In the 1930s, the government housing policies helped create a wide racial wealth gap. The white people got homes with backyards and a community pool, and the whites could get loans very easily. The blacks couldn't, though. They lived in things called the housing projects, and they were very little.